Top of the morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the listeners out there. A hearty and healthy Irish hello. Dermot here, Healthy Coach Radio Show. The only place I can drink tea and actually talk, where science, spirituality, and self-discovery meet. Now, if you're listening on the radio or you're flying around the cosmos in your UFO, you'll pick us up at 92.5 FM, F for Frank and M for Matilda. We are playing here on Cows Radio, the best darn radio station on the planet. Of course, you can pick us up on all those. I won't even mention those social media sites. You know what they are. We're like butter. We're spread all over them too. All right. Today's show, we're going to be talking about don't sweat the low mood stuff. It's not what you think. Or is it? Now, I have to thank our guest today for that title because I was kind of struggling with the title. And so I text, oh, hang on a second. There is a fleck. Should not have any flecks. This is a professional show after all. All right, where was I? So we're going to be talking about low moods. What are they? Where do they come from? Where do they go? Can we have a great life and have great and low moods? How do we not get out of the wrong side of the bed? My next guest is, I'm honored to say that my next guest is someone who is a mentor, a friend, and someone whose work has made a huge impact on my life. I could do a whole show just on the impact of this lady's work on my life, on my partner's life, and actually on a lot of people that I know. Our next guest, Catherine Casey, has been teaching and coaching and training a wide range of people in many different environments throughout the world for the past 25 years. Catherine has also implemented a coaching-based resilient program in Santa Clara County, Santa Clara Valley Medical Center, San Jose, California, one of the largest public hospitals in the US. She's also pioneered the first coaching-based program in the Santa Clara County jail system and San Quentin prison. For the past 20 years, as a result of her work, thousands of inmates have been exposed and massively impacted to a training, a modality that she calls or is out there in the world called the 3 principles. She's also conducted trainings of trainer programs in Belgium, Israel, Finland, Norway, and Russia. Catherine's passion and vision is to reignite the resiliency and wisdom in all persons in any environment. She currently lives in her lovely little home in San Jose, California. Without further ado, please put your virtual hands together for our next guest on the Celtic Coach Radio Show, the lovely, the talented, the very impactful, and very funny, Irish funny, Catherine Casey.
Hi, Dermot.
How are you, my dear?
Happy as a clam. No complaints.
Even in this time of distress, duress, stress, craziness.
Even in the craziness, and believe me, it's been a roller coaster for me, definitely. Yeah. So this topic, I think, is very timely in terms of what people have been going through, as well as myself for the past year. So yeah, I think everybody can relate to what we're going to talk about.
And you know, something that I really like about you, Catherine, is that you never come off as if you have it all figured out. You know, not saying any of my past guests ever did that, but you know, you listen to some motivational speakers or, you know, people and you think, God, they have it all worked out.
Oh.
And I don't think there is such a thing. Do you? Or
no, and I think that's I think that's actually the problem. And I think this past year, we've been more open to seeing each other's humanity, that we're all human and we're all just trying to do the best we can. And to me, the more we accept our humanity, our humanness, you know, whether we're doing great or not doing great, that to me is the secret, because I think so much of us have huge expectations on ourselves, so that when we're not doing well, it really bums us out, and then we add more to that bad feeling. So it's to me just accepting our humanity and everybody else's humanity.
Yeah, yeah, I am. Boy, we could just chew on that for an hour, Kathy.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
because one of the things that I'm learning is to just be a little more. I created this thing called Butterley's Law. I don't know if you've heard of it. Butterley being my last name, but I decided if there's a law for gravity, then I might as well have a law. I might as well create. You can create laws. I don't know if you knew that, but you can create laws. And my law is the more relaxed I am, the better my life becomes.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm really learning that lesson, what you're talking about, and being easy about being a human.
Yes.
I think is I mean, we really could stop the show right there, and if people could just give themselves, and I'm speaking from my own experience right now, if I could just give myself a little bit more of a break, a little bit more slack,
Yeah.
because of being human and trying to be a perfect human, boy, I know my life would be better. Do you still struggle with that yourself?
Not so much anymore, but every
No.
now and then I'll hit an area where I feel bad that I didn't, I wasn't a nicer person, or like this past year, every now and then I get really mad at people,
Yeah.
like really mad at them.
Oh my God! And
And,
you're a
and
teacher and a trainer, and you get
yeah,
mad.
and feeling very righteous about it.
Yeah, yeah.
That people are doing terrible things, and then there's another part of me that realizes, well, if they knew better, they wouldn't. Okay, regardless of who they are, people just see what they see, but there are times when I don't see it. I don't see, I don't see that people are just operating from how they see life. And so those are the moments where I wish I could do less of that. And then I have to realize, you know what, Kathy, this is as good as it gets right now. And hopefully I'll see more about that. But again, we tend to really judge ourselves. We have high expectations. Or if we don't do well, if we do, feel strongly about a situation, we either feel very righteous and feel fine about that, or we feel bad about the feeling, that we see certain things a certain way. So especially in close relationships.
Oh yeah, it's harder. It's
Oh,
like the blinders are on and close. I mean, this is why I think everyone should have a coach or a mentor, someone that is outside of the blinders.
exactly.
What, Catherine, give us the. I mean, you're also a trained clinical psychologist, and you're a trainer and teacher of this work called the 3 Principles. What for you are low moods? Because our topic is really, don't sweat the low mood stuff. It's not what you think, or is it what you think? What for you is what do you consider an explanation of low moods?
Well, because we picked this topic, I started thinking about, well, what is it about the idea of a low mood? Because to be honest with you, when you hear that word low mood, it kind of has a negative connotation.
It does. Oh yeah, don't be in a low mood. You shouldn't be in a low mood.
Or we're depressed, or so the way I like to see it is, we're thinking beings, like we're always in thought, like all the time.
Boy, all the time, 24/7, even when I'm sleeping.
All the time. And we have no idea how much we're in until, like, I hang out with my grandkids and they're just so in the moment. I mean, they probably have 5 thoughts going on in their head at any given, and they're responsive, and they're playing, and they're creating, and every now and then they get upset and they cry. Well, all of a sudden they just went down. They got upset and they started crying. And then 10 minutes later, they're back to being happy and in the moment. And it's amazing because they may kind of go down a bit when they cry or whatever, but it doesn't take long for them to kind of come back and just be in that happy place, right?
They don't spend a week there.
No, they don't spend a week there. So, but we as we get older over the years, we're just And so, I mean, just if you could visualize how much thought we're in general, from being a child to like how much thinking have we accumulated over time. Now, I want people to appreciate that the more of that we have, the heavier it is. And so there are days when we're just not in that. We're in the moment, we wake up, we're like open to the day and you know what's going to happen. And other days we wake up and you know,
Yeah, wrong side of the bed day.
yeah, like and you look, you know, nothing's really gone wrong, nothing's wrong,
Right, or
everything's the
changed.
same. Yeah, or change but we just wake up,
Yeah.
well, to me, that's kind of like a weather system. Like out of the blue, this tsunami wave of thought just shows up.
Yes.
Or it's like San Francisco. I don't know if you've ever been to San Francisco, you could be it could be a beautiful sunny day, gorgeous, sparkling, sunny. You see the water, the bridge, everything's clear, clean. And within an hour, the fog can just roll into San Francisco. I mean, it's phenomenal. You're like, whoa, you know, where did this come from? And it does, it comes in really fast.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's gray, it's dark, it's damp, and you're like, ooh, like, boy, this is bizarre. Well, that's kind of how I see moods. It's like being San Francisco. You know, bright, sunny, sparkling, beautiful, clear, and then out of the blue, this fog just sort of rolls in. And if we don't know that we're in the fog and we kind of we're looking at life, then everything gets on our nerves, or
Yes. Yeah.
people bother us, or
Yes.
we look at our life and we think, wow, boy, I'm not where I want to be. Or I mean,
Yeah.
it could be anything. Oh, my car looks terrible and I need to get a new car. And it's funny because then when the fog clears out and it just clears out on its own, it just sort of shifts out. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I love my car. My car's fine.
Yeah.
You know what? My life is fine. I don't even look at my life. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But it's interesting. We get so used to looking at things and then we go into this, how we make meaning about stuff without realizing it's because we're in a low state of mind. That's the only reason why things don't look positive, or things don't look hopeful, or things don't look, or your relationship looks hopeless, or whatever it is that we start thinking about takes on a whole different meaning. When it's not the situation or the person, it's where my state of mind is. And if you look at your own life, think of a time when a person, and I do this when I do groups, think of a person who gets on your very last nerve. Like right now, think of somebody, and everybody has one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or
Uncle
several.
Harry, or, you know, especially around the holidays, oh, I've got to deal with so-and-so. But really, really look at this. Are there times when the same person doesn't get on your nerves? You kind of go into, oh, that's just Uncle Harry. And other times you just want to scream and run out the door.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's
Okay.
no
Now, Uncle Harry is the same. What's different is my experience of Uncle Harry is where my mind is. And we all know this. We all know when, oh yeah, we wake up the next day and you think, wow, what was going on with me? Because usually when we wake up, we see things more clearly because our minds have cleared. You know how people would say, your grandmother said, just sleep on it. You know, just sleep on it and it'll be better the next day. Well, that's what they were talking about. Your mind will clear and you will see more clearly. So to me, that's just appreciating that these waves of, you know, heavy, lots of thoughts are coming through. Sometimes I call them Velcro thoughts, where they just stick together and they just sit there like a big fur ball, you know, or a hairball for cats. It's just sitting there. But the thing that's cool is, you know how fog is not, when you try to, you can't grab it because
right. It looks solid, but it's not.
It looks solid, but you try to grab it and it's steam. It's nothing. It looks really dark and heavy, but yet it's formless.
Yeah.
Guess what? That's how our thought is. It's the
What
same
do you
thing.
what do you say to people, Catherine? Because you've trained, in San Quentin prison, where I'm sure there were low moods.
Big
I mean,
time.
so what do you say to the inmates when they say to you, "Well, I'm in a low mood.
Yeah.
How do I get out of it?"
Yeah. Well, I'll never forget this. I was out on the yard, walking to getting to my class, and I was talking to one of the inmates that I knew. So I just had a conversation with him. And the thing that impressed me about San Quentin is you get a beautiful view of San Francisco. I mean,
That's one reason to be there, I suppose.
well, I'm like, wow, look at, what a view to see San Francisco from here. So I said to the guy, I said, well, I guess if you're going to be locked up, this would probably be the best place because look, you've got a great view.
Yeah.
And you know what he said to me? Oh, we don't look at that.
Oh, really?
And I went, whoa. That's when I really saw something like, what do you, they don't look at that. They to them, that doesn't even exist.
Oh.
So here I am thinking, wow, look at this beautiful view while I'm literally in San Quentin on the yard. And this guy says, oh, no, we don't look at that. See, to me, that's an indicator of a very heavy state of mind. Because in their mind, I said, well, why wouldn't you look at it? Well, because it makes me feel worse. It reminds me I'm locked up.
Which is understandable, I mean.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
but it's not required. It's not required. It's like having a heavy state of mind is not required when you're locked up in prison. So as I work with them, and we don't talk about low moods per se, I just teach them how their mind works, as I'm doing right now. The fog rolls in, or, we all have separate realities. We see things differently, but it's really us creating that, stuff like that. This group, I work with this group of guys. When we first started with them, they kind of looked gray, that institutional look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of that gray.
Actually, I don't. I'm saying,
but you've heard of it. Yeah. There's this kind of gray, and you feel this kind of like, they're doing time. That you just feel, and some of them had been in 20 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So as we worked with them, this is over a period of like 6 months, color came back into their face. It's like they came back to life. I wish we could have filmed it because you could visibly see them change. And what changed was as they started to understand how their mind worked in general, their minds just got lighter in general. And there's no explanation of that. It just happens. I see this with corporate successful people locked up, homeless people. When people wake up to how they create their states of mind, how it comes through them, and they visibly change. So they had been living in a very low state of mind for years. And that means think of the tallest building in the entire world. That's how much thought people are walking around in that situation. But think of successful people. How many of you, when you're just in your life, and while you're dealing with one thing in front of you, you've got at least 25 things on your mind while you're doing the one thing?
Yeah, probably every person on the planet.
Everybody. I mean, everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
Well, see, what we don't realize is that's where we're feeling the stress, and that's where we're feeling the weight of, and our state of mind goes down. It's because of all the meaning we're in while we're just doing something in front of us. And that's why you're hearing a lot about this being present, mindfulness, because you're either mindful in the moment or you're walking around in a ton of thought.
Yeah, I want to be mindless.
Yeah, well, you can't. Yeah,
problem.
Yeah, if you're mindless, then you're dead.
Yeah,
we have to be, but we're in way more thought than we need, and we don't know it. So when we're in a mood, that's all it is we're in way more thinking than we realize, and we just don't know it. So we evaluate everything from that vantage point.
Now, well, let me ask you, because, and again, I'm doing my best here to be the advocate for the listener.
Please.
So if you're not telling, so we'll go back to the San Quentin group that you worked with. If you're not telling those guys, hey, think positively.
Oh, no.
affirm your moods away. Or so if you're not telling them to do anything with their moods, what are you saying to them that's helping them be more with the mood,
Yeah, yeah,
or not make the mood matter?
yeah, yeah. That's it right there. Because I help them understand where it comes from, not what they should do with it, but the nature of it and where it comes from. So I've been talking about the nature of it. You know, it's like fog, and the fog rolls in and everything looks dark and, you know, gray and solid, and like it's, you know, like the sun disappeared and it's never coming back again. Well, if we understand the nature of fog, we know, oh, well, it's going to burn off. That's the term we use here in California. When we go to the beach and it's all cloudy, we always say, oh, by noon, it'll burn off, meaning
Yeah. Mhm.
it'll dissipate.
Right. We don't have to do anything about it.
We don't have to do anything about it.
We can't.
Well, but what happens when we get into a low mood, and you know, the overcast and the clouds and the fog is there, we go running around trying to push them away. So it'd be like
Yes.
me running around in San Francisco trying to push the fog away with my arms. Well, that would be silly.
Yeah. Or we smoke something or drink something.
Whatever,
You know,
whatever. But the
yeah.
main thing is thought is the same way. If you leave it alone, if you just appreciate, okay, the fog's rolled in, then it will dissipate on its own. But if I get in there to try to manage it or overcome it, or ignore it, or get into it, or, you know, take your pick, or see it differently, that's going to add more to it. It just makes it bigger, as opposed to, and the only way you know you're in a low state of mind is it's your feeling state. That's the only way you're going to know.
So let's talk. When we say low state of mind, you're talking about in a low mood, right?
Low mood, same thing. Low state of mind, low mood, high functioning depression, heavy state of mind, feeling very attached, feeling very, you feel super responsible, super guilty,
Yeah, heavy.
super anxious. So you could come up with 1,000 words to describe just a ton of thought going through your mind.
Yeah. Doom and gloom. Which
Take your
mood
pick.
backwards is doom, which is kind of interesting. So, all right. So you're saying that our moods, like the clouds, they come and they go and they dissipate on their own. So we don't have to do any. So you're saying, Catherine, that we don't have to do anything with our moods?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. And that's where we get into trouble. See, this is and you alluded to it. So when people start going into a low state of mind, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, that's it. Who wants to feel bad?
Yeah, and you know, with kids, you know how it shows up? I work with kids locked up in juvenile hall, and I mostly work with boys. And one day we're hanging out and I had a great rapport with them. And I said, so you guys, what are you in here for? You know, what do you guys, how do you end up in here? Oh, we steal cars. And I go, you steal cars? Oh yeah, we steal cars. Well, why do you steal cars? Oh man, Kathy, it's fun. It's exciting. You know, it's a rush, you know, and we make money, and, you know, and they get all excited talking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it's a good thing the counselor's not in here. I'd get in trouble. So they're all excited about it. I said, well, so you're doing it for the excitement. Well, why do you need excitement? Kathy, we're bored. Oh man, there's just nothing happening. We're so bored. So what, stealing cars is cool. I mean, you know, and so all of a sudden it hit me. Of course, how many people, whether they're kids locked up in juvenile hall or any of us, boredom is horrible. Who loves boredom?
Right.
Yuck. You know, people do anything not to be bored.
Yeah.
So I looked at the kids. I said, well, so you guys just don't like being bored? They go, heck no. I said, well, do you know what boredom is? And they go, well, yeah, nothing's going on. I said, well, would you like me to give you a different explanation of being bored? And because they were open to me, they said, well, okay. And I said, well, all being bored means is your mind's going really fast on the inside, which is making everything look slow on the outside.
Gosh, so true. That's for everyone. That's not
That's
just
everybody.
carjackers.
All of it. It's like watching the clock. If if your mind is zooming and you're thinking ahead, that clock, you're going to say it's slow. The clock is slow. There's something wrong with the clock. But if you're in the moment, you look at the clock and see it's 12 o'clock, and all of a sudden you look up, it's 5 after, and you go, where does time go?
Mhm.
Or, we don't experience time anymore because we're in the moment. So to me, kids, they're in a low state of mind. Boredom is another description of being in a ton of thought about everything.
Oh.
And making everything outside of them look like not interesting, boring, whatever. And they looked at me and they said, Kathy, could you say that one more time? Because they were learning how their mind worked. They were learning about it. And I said it again, and they kind of looked at me and they kind of just reflected a bit. And then they bounced, then they go back to their usual way of being. And the next week I come in and this kid goes, Kathy, you were right about that. I said, right about what? And he said, that whole boredom thing. He said, while I'm locked up, all I can think about is my friends on the outside and my girlfriend, and they're all having fun, and I can't wait to get out. And the days just get longer and longer. And I think I'm never going to get out of here. And all of a sudden I decided the counselors here, they keep wanting me to be involved with activities. And I always say no. And I just stay in my bunk. I don't want to be involved. Well, I decided to just get up and get involved. Kathy, this is true. The week went by really fast. And I said, there it is.
Wow.
He got it. He saw it. And so again, it's just appreciating, because we're human, there are times we have a ton of thought inside of ourselves. And that's just the way that, it's like the weather showed up. But if we appreciate it and just recognize it and kind of see it for what it is, and so I don't look at my life when I know I'm in a low mood. And I don't believe all the thinking I'm thinking, because I know it's what I call low mood thinking. I know that like lately, a lot of things are coming up. People want me to do this with them and go here and do this. And I'm sitting around thinking, oh, I don't want to go. How can I get out of this? And I've been doing it with everything for the last 3 days. Oh man, I don't want to do that. How can I get out of it? Let me think. What would be a good way? And it hit me like last night. What the heck is going on with you, Kathy? And then you've been in a low state of mind.
Mm. Oh, so you
because
didn't
I
notice.
love going out and meeting people and hanging out. All of a sudden I realized you've been in a low state of mind, and the idea of going and visiting your friend is just like, I don't want to do it, or do I really want to do it? I mean, normally it'd be a no-brainer. Oh, can't wait to do it.
Yeah.
I realized, it's so subtle, because sometimes we don't even realize we're in a low state of mind.
Wow. I want to come back and ask you, Kathy.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a station ID here, but I want to ask you about, so maybe you can think on this for a second, but how do people notice when they're in a low state of mind? So we'll come right back. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Celtic Coach radio show, where science, spirituality, and self-discovery meet. If you're on the radio, if you're listening in the car, you'll pick us up at 92.5 FM, F for Frank, M for Matilda. This is Cows Community Radio, coming to you from somewhere in the universe, the Triverse, or maybe it's just my verse. I'm not exactly sure. But welcome to the show. Today we're talking about the lovely Catherine Casey about moods. The topic of our show today is don't sweat the low mood stuff. It's not what you think, or is it? Now, we've just been talking to Catherine about moods. So Catherine, how do people, how do they notice when they're in a low mood? What are the signs?
Well, that's a great question. When life becomes effortful.
Effortful, like a lot of effort.
Yeah, a lot of effort. When things become, when like, and it can be silly things, like, everyday things like, oh, I've got to do the dishes.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. Now,
Eat the dishes.
Normally, if you're it's like the kids being bored. If you're in the moment and you're just, in the flow of the day, and your mind's pretty much free and clear. I mean, you're in thought, but it's just coming and going, and you're just at ease and just in the flow of the day. And all of a sudden time to do dishes, and you just do them. It's a no-brainer. You just do them. That's an indicator for me. For me, wasn't doing dishes, is emptying the dishwasher. So now lately I do it without thinking. I'm like, oh, time to empty the dishwasher. But there are times when I go, oh man, I have to empty the dishwasher. And I'm like, yeah, okay. The next day, oh man, it's still full, right? Now I'm starting to use dishes from the dishwasher.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
put them away. Now I'm starting to, third day, no man. And then I catch on.
Oh.
And it's not like I'm depressed. It's not like I'm, in a bad place, but I'm just in a heavier state of mind than normal. And so just emptying the dishwasher looks like a big deal.
Yeah.
And so it's an indicator. Your feeling state is an indicator. Or if you're looking at everything in a negative light, if everything doesn't look great, that's another indicator. So
Now, hang on, Catherine. I want to get clear on that. Your feelings are an indicator
yes,
of
that you're
you
just
being alone,
where your mind is. Yeah, that's it.
or where your mind is. So
Yeah.
if I'm feeling, I'll just use the term bad, then I'm in a low state of mind.
Yeah,
If I'm feeling good or great or happy, I'm in a high state of mind.
It's not high or low. It's just you're either in a ton of thought or you're not.
Oh, so if I'm in a good mood, I'll have less thought. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll have more thought. Is that
That's
what
it.
you're
Very simple. Keep
Oh.
it simple. And you don't want to get into, well, it's good to be in a light state of mind and it's bad to be in a
Right.
low.
Well, we do that, of course.
Yeah, we
Of course
do.
that.
And then
Nobody wants to feel bad ever.
and then we add more. See, as soon as you make meaning about the fact that you're in a low state of mind, oh, this is not good, I want to get out of this. Well, you're adding another layer to the one you have already, as opposed to just appreciating, oh, okay, if I'm starting not to like, something, or if I'm feeling effort on this, or if I'm feeling urgent about this or whatever, oh, I know, okay, I'm just in a low state of mind, or I just have too much on my mind right now. Okay, that's it. You don't want to do anything more than just recognize it, appreciate it. Sometimes we don't see it till later. Sometimes we go off on somebody. How many of us have had a reaction and we yell at somebody?
7.5 billion of us.
And later on, hopefully most of us, but maybe not, but later on we go, oh man, oh, we realize, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. At the time we were in a low state of mind, and that's why we reacted, and we realize it later. See, we can realize it later and go, oh man, what was going on with me that I went off on somebody? Because normally people don't do that. Now, if people do it all the time, that's an indicator they're really in a low state of mind, like all the time. And that can be true.
So why is it better, Catherine? Because the general, I've done a lot of self-development over the years, and it still hasn't grown my hair back. But most of that they will tell you to, when you're in a low state of mind, when you're in a low mood, to think positively, to go for a walk, to work out, to move the body, get your energy going so that you're not in a low mood. Why is it? Because you're saying the complete opposite. You're saying that you don't have to do anything. Why is it, in your experience, why is it better to do nothing with a low mood than to try and change it?
Okay. So I'm glad you're asking me this, because I'm not saying do nothing. Okay. What I'm saying is, first, appreciate what's going on. See, if you're constantly trying to manage your moods,
yes,
and doing good stuff, like a lot of people, they think, okay, I'm going to lose weight. And that's going to make me feel better about myself, which is fabulous. But if you're in a low state of mind, you set out and you really get motivated and you start working on you do what and it wears off. People maybe go for that's why these gyms know, come January 2nd, sign them all up. Everybody's signing up for
all that stuff.
That's how they make their money. The first batch of people, because people will last 3 months at best. They know this. And it's because of moods. It's because of moods.
Because people want to change their moods.
Exactly. If I change. So working on ourselves in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that. But when we're trying to do it under a heavier state of mind or from a low mood, it seems to be work. You know how some people just randomly make their mind up about something. You hear people say, how did you quit smoking? And some people make several attempts and fail. Some people make several attempts and they succeed. And you'll say, so doing all those attempts ahead of time, is that what made it work? They go, actually, no. One day I just realized I just need to stop.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. 30 years of smoking, and I tried everything. And then one day I just realized, oh, I don't have to smoke anymore.
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's it. You just pop out of all that ton of thought, and the place that comes from is inside every human being is what we call pure wisdom, pure clarity of thought, pure energy, pure spirit. There's so many words to describe the indescribable, but we are connected to this universal energy, intelligence, where we find our answers. So it's fun, and we've all experienced this where we kind of slip into it, like out of the blue, we just slip into a good feeling, and there's no reason for it. We just slip into it. The more we appreciate and have certainty that exists inside of us, and again, it's still thought, but it's pristine. It's in the moment. It's mindful. It's clear. That's in every human being. And so you literally slipped into that, and that your own truth told you you're done with smoking.
Yeah. Now the question, of course, Catherine, is how did I slip into it?
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. And it's every human being could tell us right now they've had that experience. Where out of the blue, they just slipped into an idea came to them, or they saw something in a new way, or they couldn't find their keys for 3 days, and one day they wake up in the middle of the night, oh, I know, I put them in the freezer, and they, it's amazing how our minds work that way. So I'm just pointing people back to the nature of something that intuitively we all know this. We all know what I'm speaking about. I'm just putting kind of a spotlight on it for us to see, oh, that's what's going on behind the scenes.
Would you label that as kind of the difference between trying to reason yourself out of something or into something, as opposed to just intuition, where it's like you get an insight and it's like, oh, I actually don't need to smoke anymore.
Exactly. And so this is how, for me, if there's something that I'm struggling with, I used to like hash it out in my head over and over.
That's how I do it mostly.
Till I just wear myself out. And sometimes we can bottom out to our having an insight. You know what I mean? We work our heads so badly. And these engineers that I work with in this big defense company, these brilliant engineers and physicists, they were dealing with some really technical, complex stuff. And we were doing this as a leadership program. And I would ask them, I said, how many of you get bogged down? How many of you get really stuck and you can't figure out how to, solve something? And you could hear the whole room groan, like, yeah, and I said, so, because we're trying to help them see what we were talking about, that there's this limitless resource inside of us. I said, so what do you guys do about that? Like, how do you deal with it? And they started looking around and thinking, they go, well, one guy goes, well, I just walk away from it. And I walk around the complex, they're where they work. And by the time I take the walk and I come back, all of a sudden I see a new option. Another guy goes, oh man, halfway home when I'm driving, I see it. I turn around and I go back because I got the answer. Another guy goes, when I'm taking a shower. And I said, so what's going on then? They back off all the thinking they have, trying to rationalize and reason and figure, and they back off of it. They literally back off the whole thing, take it off their minds, and they walk around, take showers, whatever, and all of a sudden it hits them. And see, we all know this.
We've all had experience that.
We all have had experience. So I'm saying that's the thing you're having an experience that you've had before. That's how the system works. The less thought, the better. So these were super smart guys. And so when I said, well, this is what we're talking about, they go, well, we know what that is. I said, well, hello. We just want you to really see that's something you could count on. You don't have to wait till you're like desperate. You can feel pretty much early in the game, oh, we're getting too urgent. Oh, we're overthinking this, or whatever word you want to use. And you could feel way earlier and realize, okay, back up, time out, whatever you need to do. So I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything, but you should do it to knowing that I just need to maybe change, put myself in a different place, take my mind off of it. So some people it's running, some people it's gardening, but the thing is, you're not using the running to clear your mind. You're going to be running and you may slip into clearing your mind.
Oh, yeah. That's the difference between doing something with your thinking and not doing something, right? That I get. It's kind of like, I equate it to, just as you're speaking there, a couple of weeks ago, I was in the shower, and I won't get into any details, but there was the neighbor's dog was outside the bloody window, barking his head off. I don't know what the hell he was barking at. And so I stuck my head out the door of the shower and I started shouting, "Shut up, for God's sake." Now, the more I shouted at the dog, the more he barked.
Of
And
course.
so then, which was news to me, because I was sure he was going to shut up. And so then I was in the shower, so of course, bright ideas always. And I thought, maybe I should shut up. And so I shut up. And then guess what the dog did?
Of course. It fizzles out. And that's cute. That's a cute example. That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm saying. Now, the dog could keep barking.
Yeah.
But it's funny that your logic was, well, if I bark back at him louder,
I'll shut him up.
I'll shut him up. Like if I think harder on something,
yes,
I'm gonna get out of this low mood, or I'm gonna come up with the solution, and it's the opposite. It's a paradox. It really is. But we've been kind of conditioned, when we're growing up. Set your mind to it. Think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it. We were taught to overthink everything.
Yeah.
And so again, now we keep doing that and we don't realize that that's what's working against us. And the more we do that, the heavier our minds start to feel. And that's when we're just in a low state of mind. And a lot of times we're so used to it, we don't even know we're in it.
Is overthinking, Catherine, is that a way to, like, I was trying to ask you the question about why do we overthink, but I'm wondering, is overthinking, is that a way for us to do something with the problem without doing something? Like, is it a way to calm ourselves down? Because I know sometimes overthink it.
Yeah. See, all right. I mean, we were told to be smart. Mm-hmm. We have to think a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you didn't think a lot, you're stupid. Right? Pretty much. And you get grades and you get evaluated, and it's all based on your intellectual capacity. So we're nobody talks about this other capacity, this intuitive part of us. Nobody talks about that. It's all focused on intellect, intellectual capacity, analyzing, thinking, figuring.
Practicality, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think at some point you're going to go, well, I'm not going to overthink anymore? No, because there's this idea, then I'll look stupid. So I used to present myself a certain way and think about everything, because I thought if they really knew, I didn't have a clue of what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I'm freaked out. I'm afraid I'm going to die. I'm afraid I'm going to blow it. I'm afraid I'm going to look like an idiot. I had so much of that inside of me. It made me more intellectual. Because, I'm smart, but I try to overdo that.
Yes, yeah.
Especially as a woman, to prove myself. As a woman, I added another extra layer to make sure that nobody saw me as being emotional or intuitive or any of those words. So we just relied on that part of ourselves for good reasons. But it backfires on us. If we're in it too much, then it backfires.
Yeah, which I think is what's going on.
Exactly.
Even with this COVID thing.
Yes.
Jesus, how many people are?
Yes.
Don't sneeze and
yes.
Don't do that and don't wipe your nose and Like there's a lot of
I went nuts
overthinking.
when it started and they said the mask and we had to, and plus my age. So I was 70 at the time, clean everything. So I would go to the grocery store and have sanitizer and I'm washing loaves of bread and boxes of cereal and, I'm wiping everything down with sanitizer. I got crazy in my head about it.
Mhm.
I had this idea of these germs were all floating around me and one of them was going to kill me. I mean, I didn't consciously know that I was doing that, but looking back now, boy, was I in a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, you do want to have some thinking about the virus and COVID and all of that. But I think all of us went into hyper mode, on
Hyperdrive.
hyperdrive.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, and because that has been so overwhelming and exhausting, and they call it COVID fatigue now, people have gone from having too much thinking and they're still in the thinking, but now they've shut down. I don't care anymore. And now people are risking themselves. And so they're still in a ton of thought, but instead of being super, super overly careful, now they're like, I don't care anymore. And they've resigned themselves and it's gone in a different direction. But what's still in there is a ton of thought.
Yeah, I am. I remember. I remember the time. It was probably 2 years ago now, but I called you from. I was giving was doing a training. I hadn't done this particular training before in San Francisco to a group of people who'd flown from all around the world to come to this training. And I remember I was in the hotel room about 8 o'clock in the evening and started to take a panic attack. And I called you and I said, look, I think I'm taking a panic. And I know panic attacks well.
Yes.
And you said, the basic crux of the conversation was, Dermot, if you're gonna go through hell, or if you're in hell right now, why don't you enjoy it?
Did I say that?
Yeah, and I thought, is Catherine smoking? Have I gotten a bad? Did I call it a bad time or a good time?
Well, if you're gonna go to hell, you might as well go to hell in a handbasket. I mean,
Yeah, and the crux of that was like, look, Dermot, and basically, I was in a low mood with an excessive amount of overthinking, kind of like the kettle boiling. Like the kettle gets to some point and it pops. And that to me is like a panic attack. And you said, look, put on your favorite show, not to try and stop yourself from having the experience, but just to do something while the experience is going through you. Can you talk about that? Because that to me, Catherine, I have to say that was a life-changing moment for me, that I could be in, a panic attack and be in so much fear.
Right.
And yet I could sit and watch I could make the choice to sit and watch my favorite show. And again, just what you said, not to, watch your favorite show, take your mind off it, Dermot, control it. You said, no, Dermot, not about controlling it. This is something you could do while it passes through, kind of like the cloud you talk about.
Right.
Would you talk a little bit about that?
Here's the thing. The fact that you were in the experience and going into panic, and the fact that you called me, at that moment, you started to have an insight as to what was going on with you. The fact that you called me started you coming back. I really want
speaking to you,
just the idea, I'm going to call Kathy. See, that came through. Yeah. Because some people, they get into a panic and they become immobilized and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
But in spite of you feeling the way you were feeling, this thought from the deepest part of you came cut through the whole thing and said, call Kathy. See, I
would hope it was the deepest part of me. I'm thinking more it was just out of sheer panic, Catherine.
Well, no, it was underneath the panic. I really want you to see it really was underneath the panic. And then the fact that you called me, right, it set you up to kind of listen.
Oh, I was all ears, Catherine.
Yeah. But it did. It set you up. And whatever we discussed, it just went in. So I knew there was no way to talk you out of it. There's no way
right.
reassure you.
And I wouldn't want to hear that. Anyway.
No. I said, well,
Dermot, just relax or breathe or do some yoga. I couldn't have heard that.
See, I learned this from my mentor because we We went back east he was rolling out a brand new program. He chose me to help him with it, which I thought was a big deal. And so because we flew, time zone change and all that, that Sunday night, so we're kicking off Monday morning. Sunday night, Monday 4 a.m, I'm still awake, and I'm in major panic.
Oh, about
yeah, this is
yeah,
bad. I have no sleep, and he's going to depend on me. And I was a basket case, and I fell asleep at like 5:30 and got an hour sleep, which is even worse. So I get ready and I drag myself. I meet him for breakfast, and we're sitting there, and his name's George. George goes, "So Kathy, I didn't get to sleep till like 4:30 last night." I said, "Really?" I said, "I was up till 4:30 myself." And he looks at me and goes, "So Kathy, what did you do?" I go, "What do you mean, what did I do?" And he says, "Yeah, I worked on my book, and there was this great old movie on, which was really a cool movie. I'm glad I'd heard about it, so I got to watch it." And as he's having fun while he's up till 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
And he's in charge of rolling out the new program. He's getting paid a ton of money. And I'm like freaking out that I can't get sleep. And he's having fun and I'm not. And that's when it hit me. He made no meaning about it. He didn't freak out about it.
Didn't try to change it.
He just took it in stride. He took mini naps throughout the day. It literally didn't even faze him. So the next night, all right, and I got myself through the day. But I was relieved, I was relieved, even though I didn't have any sleep in me, I was relieved. And so the next night, it's like, okay, time to get some sleep. And it usually takes me 3 nights to get over jet lag. And sure enough, I'm up. All right, I can't. And guess what? Okay, I think I'll read my book. I think I'll, what am I going to wear? I enjoyed being up. I just enjoyed it. And what do you think happened? I fell asleep. And that's where I learned. And that's why when you called me, that's why I could say what I said to you, is because of that experience I had for myself. Trying to manage it kept me up even more, fretting about it. Okay, try to get to sleep, looking at the clock. Okay, if you get 3 hours sleep, you know how we do all this crazy stuff in our minds. You were doing the same thing. And I saw that you just needed to accept the fact that you were just in the experience.
Yeah. Well, that was the big difference that for me that really clicked, that I don't have to change.
Right.
I don't have to use my thinking to get myself out of all the overthinking, because you can't. Like in that moment, I could not, like, I often think of it like, okay, I've made up a bunch of stuff in my head about tomorrow's program. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make up more stuff in my head to justify the stuff that I just made up in my head about the program, so that I can settle my thinking about stuff that I made. And it's like, it's a freaking crazy.
Then you go crazy. And the other thing I remember telling you it was, and the next day, tomorrow, you know what? Rely on your usual self.
That's right.
Meaning, I remember saying to you, you know what? Have fun with these people. Go back, be Dermot. Be the fun-loving, joking, fun Irish Dermot. Just be Dermot. Yeah. And because people, they're not there for information. They want a fun experience. They want a learning experience, collaborative, light, fun. And boy, you're the master of that. But you just forgot.
I certainly did.
You just forgot.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and that made a lot of meaning about it.
No, that was a game changer for me, Catherine. Really seeing that I don't have to do anything when I'm overthinking. If I just leave the barking dog, the overthinking alone, it will settle. That's built into us, right?
It's built in. It's how, remember the fog. The fog comes and it goes. It dissipates. Burns off. And that's the same for us as human beings. Thought comes in, it burns off, and then they're left with pure sunshine.
Oh, beautiful.
Clarity.
Beautiful. Catherine, will you, just as we start to wrap up here with the 3 minutes that we have, boy, it feels like we just started. 2 Irish people, of course, we could talk all day. Take everything that we talked about and and what do you really, what in terms of, don't sweat the load mood
Mhm,
stuff,
mhm,
and what we
mhm,
talked about
mhm,
today, what do you want people to really hear
mhm,
in this
mhm.
conversation?
Well, I think the big message is to, first of all, accept our humanity. Accept that there are days when we're just going to wake up into the fog. It's just going to show up, and we're just going to be in the fog. And if we could appreciate it more and not make meaning about it and not really believe what we're thinking while we're in it, and just trust that there's a deeper part of you that's going to get you through whatever it is you need to get through. And it's happened all your life. Now I want people to trust that part of themselves, that intuitive, you know, place that knows that things are not going to last forever, that place that knows that this is just a temporary, and I'm just seeing things because I'm in a low state of mind. Just trust that part of yourself, and really, really take care of yourself. Do what you need to do to help yourself in the moment. Not do things that were prescribed, but in the moment, do whatever helps you, and just that.
Now, I know you don't have a website,
No.
um, so I'm not going to ask for it. But if people, because the work you do is called the Three Principles, um, what are some resources would you guide people towards if they want to find out a little bit more about this way of being in the world? This,
Well, I can't rattle them off offhand. I could give you my email. We could put that, if you want to put that out,
yeah,
to contact me. And for resources, Sydney Banks is the person that we've learned this from. And you can, Amazon.com, Sydney Banks,
mhm,
his books are on there, and some videos. And that would be the person that I learned this from.
right. Sydney, and Banks is Banks.
KS, yeah,
Yeah,
Sydney Banks. That he's on YouTube. He's on, just that would be the person that, if you want to hear more about this. And he speaks more in a spiritual sense. I spoke more psychological
mhm.
and a little spiritual. He really speaks very spiritually about this.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, Catherine, always a pleasure to
My
have you
pleasure
come
too.
on the show and talk. And ladies and gentlemen, so you've been listening to the Celtic Coach Radio Show, where science, spirituality, and self-discovery meet on Cows 92.5 FM on the dial, community radio. If you want to hear more, you want to check out, there's other interviews that I do have on my website, the Celtic Coach, CELTIC, Coach, COACH. CelticCoach.com. You can go to interviews, and there's more interviews there on the radio show. Until the next time, think big, have fun, stay curious. Next week, we're going to be talking to Deanna Hansen, block therapy, the holy grail of health and well-being. So if you got physical ailments, you got body stuff going on, back pain, whatever it might be, we're going to be talking to Deanna about how you work with that and some of the therapies for that. She's an amazing, amazing lady. So stay tuned. That'll be on the show next week. Until then, cheers.